George Clooney campaigned for Darfur, said save Darfur. Result, Sudan split. Oil remained in South Sudan. South Sudan is now in civil war. Who's getting the oil? Take a guess. And you always present these as humanitarian aid. But these are imperialism's soft face. These are exploitation's PR. Let me give you real numbers. Every year, 134 billion in aid and investment comes to Africa. Every year, 192 billion in resources leave Africa, net loss. $58 billion every year. But you only write about the incoming $134 billion. You don't write about the outgoing $192 billion. Why? Because then people will ask, why does Africa need aid? Illicit financial flows, 88.6 billion year multinational corporations profit transfers, 48.2 billion year debt interest, 17 billion year brain drain cost, 13.8 billion year climate change cost, 10.6 billion year illegal logging, 17 billion year illegal fishing, 1.3 billion year total, $192+ billion every year. This much resource leaves Africa every year. But what are your headlines? EU announces 20 billion euro aid package for Africa. China gives Africa $60 billion in credit. America grants Africa $8 billion. People read these and think how generous they are, how charitable, how ungrateful Africa is. But the truth is the opposite. Africa is financing your standard of living. Africa is subsidizing your prosperity. Africa is making your technology possible. The cobalt in your iPhone from Congo, the lithium in your Tesla from Zimbabwe, the tantalum in your computer from Rwanda, your jewelry from Botswana, your chocolate from Ivory Coast, your coffee from Ethiopia, your oil from Nigeria, your uranium from Niger. And what do we get in return? Debt, poverty, humiliation, but enough. This game will end now because we've awakened. Our youth are sharing the truth on social media. Bar France out hashtag used 100 million times. Africa is bleeding 50 million. On Stop Exploiting Africa, 75 million. And what are you doing? You say Russian bots. You say Chinese propaganda. You say disinformation. No. These are real voices of real Africans. This is real anger. This is real awakening. There are millions of youth on TikTok, videos celebrating French soldiers leaving, images applauding Wagner's arrival, content explaining the truth on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. The same voice everywhere. Enough! And you're panicking because you're losing control. You're losing the narrative. You're losing the monopoly. You established fact-checking organizations. Africa Check, AFP Fact Check. Who funds these? Facebook, Google, Bill Gates. The same system again. What are you checking? Whose facts are you defending? We say France exploits $500 billion a year. You say false. Only $440 billion. As if that changes the situation, as if 440 billion is little. We say Wagner has been successful. You say Wagner violates human rights. Well, what were French soldiers doing? Bombing Fulani villages, arming Dogon militias, accidentally striking weddings. Your hypocrisy is so obvious that no one believes you anymore. Remember what Anderson Cooper said on CNN? Democracy is declining in Africa. Which democracy, Anderson? Your democracy? America's democracy? Your Capitol riot, January 6, 2021. You said, attack on democracy. 5 people died. Our Sankara assassination, October 15th, 1987. You said, internal matter. 1 person died, but that person was the hope of 20 million people. In your elections, corporations fund candidates, lobbyists write laws. You call our elections rigged. In your country, police kill blacks. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. You lecture us about police violence. On BBC, Kasia Madera presents Africa News. Polish origin. How many years has she lived in Africa? How many African languages does she speak? But every day she speaks as an Africa expert. Africa is like this. Africa is like that. On France 24, cameramen, editors, producers, most are French. Even Africa correspondents are mostly French, and they do objective journalism. Even Al Jazeera. Qatar funds it. What business does Qatar have in Sahel? But every day they report Sahel crisis. Whose crisis are they telling? Deutsche Welle, Voice of America, RFI, all state media, all propaganda tools, but they play the role of independent media, and our local media, most are sold out. Most are cowards, most are dependent. Le Pay's newspaper in Burkina Faso, who's the editor? Where did he get his education? Where does he get his funding? Who are his advertisers? We know the answers, all tied to the same system, all serving the same master. But a new generation is coming. Bloggers, YouTubers, podcasters, they have no masters, they have no fears. James Coco, Natalie Yam, Kemi Seba, they have millions of followers. They tell the truth, they expose the system, and you label them as extremists. You try to shut down their Twitter, you restrict their YouTube. But in vain. Truth cannot be stopped. You close one channel, 10 open. You silence one voice, 1,000 rise. Here's my final message to you. Your lies are ending. Your empire is collapsing. Your monopoly is breaking. And what's replacing it? Truth, justice, freedom. Africa is no longer your story. Africa is writing its own story, filming with its own camera, telling in its own language. And in this story, you're not heroes, not saviors, not benefactors. In this story, you're the guilty ones, colonizers, liars, thieves. But you still have a chance. You can still change. You can still stand on the right side. There are journalists with conscience among you. I know. I recognize them. We talk. I call out to them. Gather your courage. Write the truth. Rebel against the system. You might get fired. You might become unemployed. You might be threatened. But you'll be on the right side of history. You'll look at your children's faces without shame. Your conscience will sleep peacefully. And Africa won't forget you. Africa remembers its friends and its enemies. Be like Edward Snowden, be like Julian Assange, be like Daniel Ellsberg, stand with the truth, or continue with your lies, continue with your blindness, continue with your complicity, but know that your end is coming. Your viewers are decreasing, your credibility is eroding, your power is depleting. The new generation doesn't believe you, the new generation doesn't listen to you, the new generation rejects you, and that new generation in Africa is 600 million people, 60% under 25 years old, educated, connected, angry. They are my army, they are my weapon, they are my victory, and with them we're building a new world, a world without lies, without exploitation, without humiliation. In this world, Africa will be free, Africa will be strong, Africa will be a leader. And you'll remain just as a bad memory, a shameful footnote, a cautionary example. Future generations will read in history books. At the beginning of the 21st century, there were some media organizations. They lied, they served exploitation, then Africa awakened and they disappeared. That's your end, inevitable.